FaZe, we are heading into map number 1 now. The band's getting started. Let's go ahead and take a look at the knockouts. This is going to be Team Liquid taking the 2 outer bands, our first attacker band, and our final defender band. And FaZe, we'll get the last attacker band coming up in just a second here, as well as the first defender band. No surprises on the initial. Thatcher knock him right out of here as he's once again topped out, I believe, our band statistics so far for this event, as he has been for quite some time. And since we're on Coastline, Lion slots right in as you would generally expect.
Yes, indeed. Remove both of them and make things a little bit easier for the defensive end, as wanted to deal with those EMPs or those EE1Ds. A lot of E's inside of that, but luckily we got some V's as well, as Valkyrie will be removed by FaZe.
Valkyrie coming up here. So once again, a few options in terms of where you want to take this last one. It really just is dependent on where Team Liquid wants to try and dictate their gameplay for this one. They are on the defense. So once again, whatever they choose to knock out here is going to be a bit of a self-handicap, but obviously they'll be able to work around it fine. We've got plenty of other operators that can probably take this one's place. And speaking of which, this one's going to be Echo. Interesting. All right, that's a little bit different from what we were used to seeing here, but it makes perfect sense. Echo has actually had his pick rate kind of I wouldn't say skyrocketing, but it's definitely been increasing, I would say, as of the most recent months. And this is a map where there's quite a few sites where Echo can be quite prominent here and could potentially even save the day. So just knock that out of play, make it so you don't have to worry about it here, and as well, kind of remove any real necessity to play IQ in any given round here as well, with Valkyrie also being banned out.
Absolutely the case, my friend. And as we get into the first round, it's going to be double bar here on the defense for Liquid. We'll see what they want to bring to the table. The Kaid especially popping out to me for this setup. We usually don't see Kaid here for this, and makes a lot more sense now as Nesk will be 6 picking away from that. So trying to throw them off the scent of which side they'll be going to in the initial round here. We're going to get a Rooney out here with the laser gates instead, and actually won't be in tandem with any other prevention when it comes to the ADSs or my discs.
Already though is kind of become your go-to in a lot of team setups here for the bar setup, for the bar play specifically, and mainly again because of where you can place them on these 2 windows, denying a lot of that access, potentially allowing for the defenders to play much more heftily into the bar because of the extra delay that'll come from that. Specifically, the player behind the main bar itself will also have the capability to reignite those, obviously, after the recharge timer once FaZe does bleed them out at some midpoint in the round. Usual hole going to be opened up into blue. For any newer Seed viewers, you can't really play inside of that site where you see our player on the left side of the screen running through it right now. It's just far too open, far too abusable by the attackers. You can play it from all the way across the map in the lobby, though, and that's why you've made that hole there, so that in the event the attackers try to go for it, you can shoot out their feet pretty easily, and they won't be able to shoot you.
Yeah, always got to man it from the lobby space here, and that's more than likely we'll see Team Liquid extending themselves over towards this direction. Also just did some research of my own really quickly where we're getting through the prep phase, and well, it just seems like the Echo is kind of a spot ban here for Liquid. Isn't necessarily up against FaZe, just something that they don't necessarily want to play into that could prevent them from getting a plant down or just extra insight into FaZe's game plan on their defense. Just really don't want to have to deal with that op. So get him out of here instead. We want to talk about him again for the rest of this one. As for Liquid, they are definitely spinning themselves around the map right now. Nesk will be the one manning the lobby while we have Palu all the way upstairs in billiards for the time being.
It's a good possibility they caught on to something that FaZe was using it for earlier on in the tournament. Might be wanting to try and knock that out of play because of the effectiveness it did have there. It could end up being a slight target ban to a certain strategy that FaZe might have wanted to deploy in their first half play. Moving away from that, though, we already see FaZe starting to line up the utility clear, and actually almost a player clear here against Resets, but instead it's going to be Ask and Paula to pick up the opening kills elsewhere on the map. Paula nearly getting traded for it, but the job is done. 2 players from FaZe are down, and that's the case down. To be fair, outside the front door, so fairly retrievable for FaZe, but regardless, Liquid can defend that slightly here, as now they have a huge edge at a 5v3.
Well, now for Palu and the rest of the squad, it's a very chill remainder of the round as long as they can thwart off the remainder of these FaZe members who haven't made any actual progression in towards the building, because when you try, you're going to run into a Nesk, and he's going to take you down. Cyber will lose his life, and now it's a 2 versus 5 for the FaZe members. Bullet still trying to man this kitchen window, but the issue is Astra was all the way across the map currently, trying to deal with his own situation inside of Office, but look at the tandem here from Liquid. Palu over the top of PSK, who just caught that concussion, and now the FaZe member going to rotate off. Astro knows how damning it could possibly be for him to rotate in there. Could take quite a bit of damage, but instead it's going to be the cross angle here, set up for the little sunroom windows. Able to get a nice little cheeky angle out towards blue. But as for FaZe right now, it's going to be a lot of give from Liquid if they're going to get this round.
FaZe just hunting for anything that they might be able to use to leverage a slight advantage here in the final minute of play, but just not able to find anything out here. Liquid are giving away nothing, and why should they? That's such a huge advantage that they have for themselves here. Make FaZe do the work for them, not the other way around here. No need to give FaZe an inch, let alone a mile, that they could use to come back into this round here. It's a 2v5, and while that may seem like a done deal, under certain situations it is possible. Unfortunately, this is not going to be one of them. Ness now taking out Bullet, leaves Astro alone just when he was about to complete the rotation to regroup with his teammate as well, so just probably going to end up throwing himself at his opponents here in the final 10 seconds. See if he can maybe get a kill or two, but ultimately there is not enough time left and not enough life left in Astro either. It is a really flawless round from Team Liquid to start this series out.
2 from Nesk, 2 from Palu, 1 from Ask. What more could you ask for? I'm sorry I had to do that, but either way, a flawless round from Liquid to start us off here as FaZe just get punished immediately on the entry, not even allowing a single body to actually get inside of the building there. You don't really see that happen too often, so impressive stuff from Liquid to start us off here on Coastline.
We're going to see FaZe bringing the OSA now as well, as we're going to be moving that into play here. We already saw that picked up quite a bit. And what's up?
Well, 2 things. Number 1, Osa, it's going to be a 6 pick, but also the little Christmas background seemed pretty interesting there for just a second. Either way, though, Bullet, he's going to switch it on over to the Yana, who's been played so actively at this LAN. We expected a lot of that just because Yana's been played very often in every single region. Really good with that Gemini clone. You can get a lot of information with that. Also, burnout laser gate. She also has frag grenades and arguably one of the best ARs in the game at the current moment.
So, see how the Yana pick potentially favors our friends on FaZe, and again, I would reckon pretty well considering her pretty good prominence inside of the meta at the moment here. So, trying to see what else Liquid will try to build up towards here as they have a pretty easy walk in the park on their kitchen hold, and now it's time to move upstairs into the hookah, or rather the double bar hold in the first round there. Now it's time to move up towards hookah to go for their defense here. Attackers bringing exactly what you'd expect, specifically with Souls bringing the Habana there. That's going to try and abuse the situation over by Billiards, but as you guys probably noticed, it's been double reinforced with the Cade Electric Claws there, making it a little bit harder to get access to. Attackers won't have any immediate route to take that out, but through nades and forms of other utilities should be able to knock that claw out and possibly open it up with the Habana pellets.
I mean, just look at the amount of different spaces that are being held by Liquid right now. Cyber's going to immediately get on Repel, but this is a completely different Coastline than what we've been seeing a lot of different teams play. We got deployable shields inside of the VIP hallway. We've got verticality going downstairs so that Ask can watch the office window, or rather door into blue. There's so many different ways in order for Liquid to get picks here. This is very damaging to FaZe if they do end up walking into a space that they're not supposed to be in, at least without information going into this.
Relatively quiet affair for the first minute or so of play here, but that may start to change soon with FaZe finishing up their initial droning, now getting ready to start moving in and putting pressure specifically over towards the penthouse area. Good news for both FaZe and Team Liquid, it does not look like we have too much presence there. We got a preset Nitro, oh man, and as well immediately ignited by Paul as well to take out Bullet and strike true once again for Team Liquid to give them the opening kill for a second time.
3-0 for Palu at the current moment. Obviously not a single member of Liquid losing their life just yet, as there's a big old goose egg across FaZe. They're looking to change that inside of this one. No back-to-back flawlesses, hopefully for Liquid, as that would be quite damaging to the mental of FaZe so early on inside of this series. Good info coming from this Evil Eye. They'll be able to track what's going on inside of VIP Hall for a time. Liquid just going to sit on their hands for a moment here. Quite the quiet time, at least for the time being. Still have some things to do for FaZe here as they're trying to get their head wrapped around the east side of the building. Currently working their way in through VIP as well. Got the Twitch drone out here as this is starting to build up towards an aqua plant.
So looking like it's going to be the case here. FaZe need to try and find some way to ignite this execute, though. Possibly looking back at their operator picks, might be regretting the switch off from the OSA now, considering the usefulness that would have been presented had they brought it here. We already saw it earlier on today. Just on this very map as well from Oxygen's roster, and it worked out pretty well for them, but obviously FaZe not going to be able to utilize it here and now. Player that was on it now down, but there's a nice find from Astro as he creeps right up over here towards the 90 angle, the connector between the sites, and picks up the first response. There is going to be another one from Team Liquid, however, to give them back their advantage. Toxic Babe's now starting to play out to restrict the presence inside of Billiards, and Ask with a nice shot on the shotgun to take out Astro. Remove that threat that was working itself in from the 90 angle, and now Souls picks up another one to try and keep FaZe alive in this one, but they're down to only 2, still to Liquid's 3.
No flawless round for Liquid, but it still looks like a Liquid round all the same, at least at the moment. Souls has an opportunity to try and steal this one away as Ask runs out of smokes. He's going to need to hit some crack shots with this Type 89, but no, it's Nesk and Ask to shut it down. And it's going to be a 2-0 start as the energy from Ask right now is just, it's really high up there. This man's bar is just, woo.
Not enough real estate there in the dying moments of the round for the FaZe members, so they try to force the issue there. And Liquid respond in a predictable way with the swings to the outside. No issues trading that one out and shutting down the 3v2 in their favor. So a clean 2-0 opener to the beginning of this game for Team Liquid, and they're going to carry it right forward over to now going into a kitchen hold, where we'll have to see if they can go for the three-peat here and loop back over to Bars in the fourth to go for a complete rerun here, setting themselves up for a very, very healthy half here.
Well, that's a hell of a six pick. Get off the Mira, gone over to Oryx. I mean, two completely different operators in the mindset that you need in order to execute their play. Oryx, quite unique in the way that you can do things, especially for a map like Coastline, able to transition up through hatches as well as create some soft breaching. With his body, no less, really the only operator in the game that can do that as he just charges on through walls. Actually, funny enough, for a little while there, I had no idea what his logo was, and then somebody did like a reverse-colored one, and I finally noticed that it was like a ram, and I was like, oh, this totally makes sense.
It's more of like a gazelle.
Is it a gazelle? Do gazelles run through things?
No?
Either way, though, we're going to have him out and about with Palu on this one, which should be pretty fun. Obviously, it's going to make it to where he can possibly flank up top with some hatch plays and things along those lines. So FaZe going to have to pay attention to that in the long form here. Could be coming later on inside of the round.
I think you're right on the ramp thing, but moving away from that now.
You're just staring at it now, aren't you?
I had to really analyze it for a second. It's going to be a slow roll once again, though, at the first minute or so of
I always thought it was like a shoe with, like, you know, wings coming off of it or something, or like air, you know, he's just moving so fast.
Just like some crazy Nikes or something with the with the flaps on the back.
I feel like every kid, when they were younger, had to try like 10 different shoes at like Payless to make sure that they ran faster in their shoes. I know I did, but that might just might be me being weird. Who knows, though? Either way, FaZe need to get this drone game spun up, and that's exactly what they'll do, is they'll begin clearing out the service area. Obviously, we're going to have some Liquid members in this space. It is indeed the site, so they most definitely should. I'll be asking here for the moment is he'll adopt the Smoke up, one of the worst characters to play inside of this space. Not because Smoke is bad, but when you play him, you risk a lot because of the amount of rifles and long-form angles you have to deal with that SMG-11. It's very difficult to execute, so it's asking quite a bit of this member.
Yeah, us being responsible for a whole bunch of real estate across the map here right now. Not only the service entry, but directly behind him to his 180. He's also got to watch out for pressure from the kitchen window also. So it's a tough task, and he doesn't necessarily have a good amount of support, as you can see here. Tries to peek out over towards the service door for just a split second and nearly loses his life. So in a moment, we'll need to call back his teammates or at least get them ready for an eventual push against him, as he's starting to look weaker and weaker. And I bet you FaZe realize it here. You can see the laser gate ready to be redeployed. He's going to be able to work himself over towards it, but Ask finally overwhelmed and now down. Souls immediately trades that one back out by finishing off onto Ask. Their Cyber picking one up as well. The crossfire is coming back in, and FaZe did lose a player in the process of this take, but still, they hold the advantage in a clean plant because Liquid has no presence to work themselves back in.
Smoke grenade out now to lodge this angle here so they can propel themselves forward inside of Kitchen. Astro will get taken down inside of Sunrise by Palu. Nest default a bullet as well. It's a 2 versus 3 inside of the post plant for Liquid. FaZe looking stellar in the moment as PSK will go down. Palu now 4-1 currently. To be 4-2 if he missteps, and he will. Cyber with a big round there as FaZe very quick moving inside of the actual site as Kitchen will be completely taken over.
Liquid seemingly expecting way more pressure over towards the front door or other parts of the map as well, maybe a top clear or something like that. It just never happens. FaZe go for the complete disrespect take, realize that it's only the Smoke sitting inside of the site, quickly overwhelm him, and on top of that, in the process of taking him down, have already moved 2 to 3 players into the site, making it nigh impossible for Liquid to resist the plant, and as well, already having a player advantage, it makes it that much easier for FaZe to hold on to said plant and clean up the remnants, still sitting halfway across the map on the other side.
Well, FaZe recognizing that Liquid is spread thin across the entirety of this map, so they're going to bring in Jackal to try and isolate out some players and possibly get some big picks early here by tracking those footsteps with the Inox. We'll see if Cameraman can get some serious intel to influence FaZe's early round game. As we're loading things up here for round 4, it's going to be double bar yet again for Liquid. We've seen this one already one time inside of this. Obviously, the kitchen defense not working out, so maybe we see Liquid go to something else a little later on.
It's back to the double bars for right now here, however, where things had worked out perfectly well for them earlier and actually were able to bully their opponents in FaZe quite a bit with positioning over here towards the service store, but they failed to hold on in the previous round. So looking to make sure things go a little bit better this time here, and once again looking to shut down the initial push from FaZe before this round even really gets started. We'll see if they have that degree of success. It's hard to find that level of it twice in a row here. Hopefully FaZe has learned their lesson, and they're not going to come into it with a bit more prowess, specifically again with that Jackal pickup that Stokes had previously mentioned. That's going to help them to find out the positions of these more aggressive members of Team Liquid a bit earlier on in the round.
Slow and steady for both of these squads, at least inside of the opening moment before that fiery Brazil play comes back in that we're so very used to. FaZe beginning to work the top side of the map over here towards Aqua Balcony. It's going to be a lot of drone work early on here. They do not want to overstep like they did the last time and start losing bodies so early on. They're going to have PSK, at least for Liquid's sake, inside of the office space. And skeet shooting not working out too well for PSK in the moment, but finally the 4th shotgun shell will be able to secure the drone.
Fair, that drone had some hops, was able to get out of the way, and I was even surprised it lived that long. But here we go, FaZe now working their way in, looking to overwhelm the office hold. Counteraction does come back in, hitting players on both sides of the equation. It's going to be Ask to find the initial kill, but it's not too long after that we see Cameraman pick up the exchange onto PSK, putting us down into a 4v4. Some serious damage done to Souls, though, in the process of eliminating the player holding the office area. That's going to cost FaZe potentially in the long run here if Liquid's going to be able to strike back, specifically Ness, who actually escaped the office, I do believe, and fell back into security here.
This is where things could run high into risk for either one of these squads. As of right now, FaZe is going for a blue bar execute. They want to get a handle on the blue bar wall and start going for a plant inside of that space. Now, you're going to be asking a couple of things of them. Number one, this case has to come off of Souls, mostly because of his HP. If he goes to plant right now, he's more than likely dead to Ask or any utility that gets tossed at him. An impact could put him down right now if it lands properly. So they're going to be running a lot of risk if they do end up pushing in with him, as well as holding on to all of the extended areas, all of these different spaces and avenues that we could see possibly like Nesk rotate back into with like security and things along those lines. Obviously, lobby is also going to be a hot spot for Liquid to try and defend this case from. So now for FaZe, a lot to do here as they start to clean up this wall. It's going to be a frag grenade out to try and deal with the smoke. It's going to land on Ask, but it's only going to deal about half his damage worth of HP. So looks like now yet another smoke will go out. He'll smoke close just to make sure no one's on the warpath to try and take him down.
Actually going to see Ask get caught this time by Cyber as he starts to move himself in as well on the Twitch here. Resets, trying to get himself deeper into the blue bar. He's going to take a big risk here to maintain this position, but he has to find a player at window first. Now he's been found out, though. This is where it gets tough again because there's no cover to play behind. Bullet will immediately exchange his position, and as well, 2 more kills found for FaZe here as they pick up a second round this time, finding revenge for the earlier play on the double bars at the beginning of the map.
2 rounds for Liquid, now 2 rounds for FaZe. Both back-to-back in their own sets. I don't think we're going to get out of this one too quick, John. It was looking a little scary there for just a second, but FaZe immediately rebound and shore things up. So their offensive side starting to come together. Liquid looking pretty damn good when it comes to their defensive strategy. FaZe just calling a lot of audibles in the moment. I really like the way that Cyber ended up working that, especially with him going over into Mudroom to deal with Ask. They knew that he had to be playing around that couch area with how the smokes were coming in onto them, so he immediately hops to and is very decisive in the moment. So very well done for them. And now FaZe, yet again, are going to be throwing us a curveball. Cameraman this time with Osa, like we were talking about a little bit earlier, who could have a pretty cool effect on this map. Not so much, well actually no, very so much on this site. We didn't really recognize initially what we were looking at, but yes, on Hookah, she has some pretty cool applications.
Yeah, able to creep back in. If you get one of those shields down directly next to the chassis, that's for the most part going to be a pretty easy plant to get down. You still have to pay respect to things like the Toxic Babes thrown up by Ask, but aside from that, you won't have to worry too much as long as you can sustain that shield's position, so to give you a window to be able to put the case down on the ground. And we'll see if that's going to be the intention here from Cameraman and the rest of FaZe. Similarly to how we saw it used by Oxygen to start the day off here on our Bravo stream a few hours back. We'll be finding out in just a second as here comes FaZe. They are on the board now. And as far as our defensive setup is concerned, really no huge surprises here. Let's get a Maestro being used to pepper in as many shots as possible, especially against something like an Aqua take, so it could be useful to fend off or possibly prevent some of this pressure from the OSA shields and the rest of the squad coming in from there.
I just love this defensive setup upstairs from Liquid. It's so interesting, especially with the shield placement out here towards Vase, just because that's traditionally played inside of the actual Vase space. Instead, they make this soft breach here so you have a counter angle for the door. It's a lot to worry about and something that can easily catch you off guard if you're not used to that. And obviously, like what we talked about before, there's a lot of vertical angles that they set up on that top floor to be able to support their players down low without having to worry about like blue bar and stuff like that. That's all shut down simply by that player holding the angle upstairs until they get pushed off from pressure from Aqua or the billiards window.
Relatively uneventful first minute of play here. FaZe was allowed to move into Aqua for free, though, as you can see. I'm starting to take control of that now. I believe that's Cameraman that's moved in and taken it for the squad here. Still a couple areas from down below they'll need to clear out, and they will need to pay mind to this. Palu sitting down here with a Nitro Cell right now. If he gets the intel, that's an easy pick, especially against Cameraman, who's just simply sitting here holding an angle with some soft floor sitting directly below him. And here we go, Palu ready to line it up. He's just waiting for the call from one of his teammates. Has to possibly take a guess as to where to chuck this here if he's not going to be provided it, but this is the time, and that window will soon be expiring if not.
Well, he has the time, but where's the place? That's a big question. Wants to try and get this for the default plant. Osa now trying to progress herself forward. She really wants to place this shield on that bomb chassis. This is prime real estate if she is able to do so. They'll try and limit her, at least with Ask's utility for the time being. This is a unique plant spot that only Osa can achieve that we saw utilized earlier. Where is Palu going to place this Nitro Cell? Is he going to place this Nitro Cell? It's too little, too late. Zero information on the plant spot. He just defaults it out and he chooses wrong. Liquid now forced into a post plant inside of this 4 versus 4, but FaZe, the shoes on the other foot, they're the defensive team now, and Liquid has to come to them.
Even see here too, they're just going to detach that first shield as now it doesn't serve their purposes and their opponents can actually use it. FaZe really having some great control of the moment, and now members of Liquid going to try to swing back in, but look, Cameraman, he's set up for this. He's got everything he needs to control this scenario. It's going to be so tough for resets or anyone to contest, and they're just not going to be able to do it. FaZe bring out a third consecutive round and steal the lead right out of the hands of Team Liquid.
And that's the beauty of Rainbow Six Siege, folks. You can get so creative with these operators and the way that you can do things. Really love the application of Osa inside of this sense, not only with the shield to be able to assist in the plant, but also the post-plant shield to be able to assist them in keeping things locked down. Very well done from FaZe as they run amok on this offensive side. After losing 2 rounds, they run up 3.
So it's time to see now, where's the response from Team Liquid? Will there be a response from Team Liquid? As they are going to return back down into their kitchen hole, and a new wrinkle will be added for FaZe. Also, Cameraman continuing his trend of interesting 6 picks, as now he's going to bring a Ying into the fold, possibly to allow this team to just burst right into the kitchen setup. Now, pay attention here to Team Liquid's own setup. We talked about it before the last time this was played. Liquid unfortunately playing too far off of the site, giving over way too much real estate, putting all that presence onto Ask instead on the smoke, and unfortunately not having enough presence to retake once FaZe took control and realized he was the only one in there. Will they be able to adjust for this time, or will things be relatively the same, giving FaZe another window of opportunity to just flood the site and take full control without Liquid being able to do much about it if they can't establish proper counter angles?
It's very interesting, the multitude of rounds that we've seen Liquid breaking up this blue wall. Every single round they have destroyed the bottom end of that bar, just to make sure that no one can try an entry into that place. For NA, we usually only see that happen for double bar. They'll leave it completely put together when it comes to any other site, but for this, it makes it very easy for Liquid to hold this entire bottom floor. You can put somebody in office, somebody over in Sunrise, and then somebody in lobby, and they can assist you with players that try and get in through blue bar. It's a really smart setup. I really like what Liquid's doing with this.
All right, well, let's see if Liquid is going to find success from this type of play here. FaZe, of course, analyzing the scenario now from their drones, not even analyzing, executing already here, at least when it comes to trying to find the early picks. Resets is down for the count and out already. So once more, FaZe take the early pick here, knocking out the Aruni. Again, if there was any operator to be knocked out here, you probably would have wanted it to be that one, either that or the Mute here. So not a huge amount of utility lost, as you are still going to keep those laser gates, considering they are placed in the pre-round.
Yes, indeed. And once again, Ask the only one on site as the smoke start to come in. And they know this as well. Cameraman already sending in some Candelas. And big issue is here, he's more than likely going to be able to kill the poor Smoke. As he tries to run away, he'll have that M590 out. The shots keep going wide. Only able to land one shell onto Cameraman, who still has quite a bit of HP. Lots of Liquid members losing their life as well. It's down to Palu and Nesk, that deadly combo that we always talk about when it comes to this squad. But neither one of them finding their mark just yet. Astro going to be able to find himself a Palu and Nesk to fall as well. It's a flawless round from FaZe. It's going to be a 4-2 half.
We have teeter-tottered in a very big way here, as this started out very one-sidedly for Team Liquid on the first 2 rounds, and now we have gone the complete opposite direction for the next 4. It's been all FaZe all day, and things have not gotten closer. They've gotten more and more dominant for FaZe as they've started to take more rounds here. Liquid, where is the turnaround? Hopefully on the attacking side, because if not, FaZe only needs to run the next quarter of this map to be able to take full control and go up 1-0.
Yeah, it really feels like Liquid has angered their fellow Brazilians, because those last 4 rounds were utter dominance, especially when it came to those kitchen offenses. They knew exactly what they were looking for, and to be honest, I really would have liked to have seen Liquid switch off of that, but you know, it is what it is. That's all in the past now. Liquid now on to the offensive side of the coin, and they've got a little bit of a different idea as to how they want to go about this for their operator lineup.
Saw a flash of a dock pick there from Cyber. Obviously didn't end up sticking with it, as ended up 6-picking over to an alibi, but still interesting here. FaZe certainly feeling comfortable with their current scenario.
Yeah, it's like if you're going to pick Doc, you might as well just pick Thunderbird, to be honest with you. The Kona stations are going to be a heck of a lot more helpful, and the Spear 308 is just a better gun than the MP5 is. Yeah, you get a better scope if you grab the MP5 with Doc, but past that, the Spear can actually contest those long-range gunfights that you're looking for simply because of the damage model if you're not hitting those headies.
Yeah, but you can't heal yourself up for like
That's true.
40 HP in one go.
That's you got me there.
You can't ego peek big window.
You're telling me I can't challenge everything? Don't want it. Don't want it.
So we'll see here if Liquid will be able to find salvation on the attacking side, and specifically against the upstairs hold here. Quite a big extension from FaZe. I'm curious to see once again if Liquid will catch on to this and try to get a little bit more aggro towards the site earlier on to maybe get some revenge for the action on FaZe back down in Kitchen for the previous 2 plays there. But again, actually going to be taking out quite a bit of utility here, because the player sitting over by the hookah area was stuck on drone, so able to steal at least 1 away from the Twitch drone and actually off of it temporarily. But if we manage to catch that player on camera later, you can move back in, knock out the ADSs, as well as that Twitch drone doing a little bit of work here to delete some of the utility from FaZe.
Should make things a little bit more straightforward for Liquid, a little bit more streamlined, you could say, as you can get rid of quite a few different pivotal pieces of FaZe's overall setup. They're still going to be extended out across this map as Astro's looking to the sky to see any of the Liquid members have made their way up top just yet, which clearly not. Mostly focused over towards the hookah space as of right now. Soul's trying to thwart off this Twitch drone as much as possible, as well as Cameraman taking some heat from, I believe, resets on the window. It's going to be a nade in as he tries to get rid of some of these harder to reach areas, especially at the back end right now, that currently has an Electro Claw in the floor from Souls.
Half the round gone, and both teams in a relative stalemate right now. That does favor FaZe, obviously, but Liquid looking to change up their fate, it seems, over the next few moments. And a bit of an annoyance, it looks like, too, as another alibi clone gets chucked out into the open, so that's going to be in the face of Liquid here for the foreseeable future until they can shoot that one back out. Liquid, though, focused on opening up real estate inside of the site. And Nitro does go out, but it's easily dodgeable by the player on Repel outside. Souls is able to knock out, I believe, 1 or 2 of those X-Kairos pellets, so it only creates a small gap on the bottom end of the overall opening. Not necessarily usable at this point here by the team, but at least it gets Ask into their Souls rather into the open here. And after he finds the initial pick, Nesk will be there to immediately exchange that back out.
It's going to be Asked to fall, but Liquid a little ahead here, at least when it comes to the damage, although the timer is starting to dwindle. Cameraman, no answer for the plant, doesn't have a Nitro Cell in the current moment, and with Liquid hitting shots like this is looking like a Liquid round all over the place. It's all down to Bullet as he scurries up the white stairs and passes through luggage. A lot to do, a lot on his plate at the time. They need this plant currently. Reset seemingly aware of where this rotation is going to come in from as he's looking in towards the Aqua space right now. A drone out, and Bullet more than likely completely dead, as Resets will be able to land his shots as he steps up into the angle.
It's a slowly built attack, but it works out very efficiently once Liquid are ready to go. And why wouldn't it have been? They had loads of intel up until that point in the round. The Twitch drone obviously sneaking itself in. Should have given them a good idea as to where a large majority of the members of FaZe were playing from. And after they were finally able to line themselves up for it, surgically inserted themselves into the site, be able to trade their way towards a win there. And now be within only 1 round's grasp of taking the lead back once again from FaZe here. Meanwhile, time for FaZe, they are not going to be favoring a retry upstairs too heftily. Things just didn't really go well for them on their overall hold, so time to move on, time to shuffle, look for something better in terms of their defensive capability, and they will hopefully find that downstairs in the kitchen, which is going to be their second site hold.
Is it going to look similar to what Liquid was pulling off with the solo man on site and quite a few players strung along the entirety of the map to try and limit what they can do with that control? FaZe obviously opted to go direct in that manner, and it made things actually relatively easy for them, as we had Ying the second time, and the first time was just really nades pouring in from the kitchen window, a lot of pressure onto Smoke, and 2 pinches, and that was just about all she wrote. So very straightforward for FaZe that got 2 rounds on this side on their offensive half. Liquid obviously 1 round away from shoring this score line up here as we begin this site setup. Going to be breaking down the bathroom wall as well as the entirety of the kitchen wall as well. They've simply opened this to nature and just gonna let it go. I mean, what's gonna happen here, John? There's so many different angles for them to manage.
Is going to be a similar setup to what we saw from Liquid as well, keeping primarily just the Smoke player contained within the site to try and delay there and fend off all the presence from both service as well as kitchen window.
I feel like they're just cheating off each other's homework right now. Yeah. They're like, what are you doing? I'm going to do that too.
I mean, it's the same region, so.
Hey, to be fair, you are completely right. We haven't seen the Osa come out from Liquid yet, but obviously that's more for like a hookah offense, and once they know that that's going to come into play, we might see her a little more often, but you never really know. Either way, FaZe obviously going to have quite the setup when it comes to this kitchen defense, just like we saw from Liquid, who's out and about now on the map. They've got some pretty cheeky drones around that they were able to find inside of Prep FaZe, specifically one inside of Sunrise that's being utilized right now to find Astro.
Astro more than likely having his position been revealed here, but no one from Team Liquid wanting necessarily strike upon it. Important to note too, Astro right nearby on the site, so in the event that there's too much pressure built up against Cameraman, they can very quickly adjust for that and counteract said pressure here. At minimum, try to support him with the play from Astro. Up on top here, you can see Cyber is going to get spotted out by a drone. They immediately switch off of that drone, and regardless of that, he'll be spotted again trying to transition through 90. So Cyber just nowhere to run, nowhere to hide, it seems, and thankfully nowhere to fight either, as Team Liquid don't want to take the duel this early against him. He's being a bit too wild here, so they're focusing on taking control closer to Penthouse, and then being able to swing against him more than likely from there.
Cyber now inside of Light's hallway, moves his way into theater and gets reset by Resets. What a shot from him. Immediately eviscerated on the entry. Astro trying to pre-fire in through the wall, but they're going to lose Cameraman instead. That's a smoke on site and a call sign that things are not going well here. Where's the case for Liquid? They need to get this thing down before FaZe can try and clamber back into round 8. Currently droning things out on site. Astro transition into luggage. Lots for him to do with Souls downstairs. Bullets made his way back in. Liquid haven't struck just yet, but it's still a one-man show. Ask will take him down, and yet another player to fall inside of kitchen for FaZe. They need to get this plant down soon, but does it really matter if they keep landing shots on the FaZe members like this?
Far too many detached fights occurring as well here, and you can just see it once again. Astro, able to pick up a trade, but he's lost his teammate in the process. Even though once again able to exchange out 1-for-1 there. We need to see a lot more of that earlier in the round. This is too little too late on the immediate exchanges. Everybody else tries to take a detached 1v1 and fails to even come close to winning it, as you can tell from the health pools over on Liquid. Diffuser now down on the ground, and there's not a whole lot Astro can do about it. He's stuck on the sidearm at this point here. No time to go for the reload on his primary here, and no time to keep himself alive either. Ask adds one more to his tally mark as Liquid clean up once again and tie us up once more at 4-4.
As much as this has been the LATAM play style, it's been fairly straightforward from both of these teams. Attack timeout coming in here, and we'll see if things can be reset by the members of FaZe. They've got some things to talk about on this defensive side. Liquid able to pull it back so very quickly here, and FaZe not able to put up a single round just yet, so feeling like some words need to be said.
Yep, going to use their initial tactical pause and see if it'll give words of wisdom from their coach and what they might be able to garner from that one. A lot of things that we can certainly touch upon here and that we've noticed in the first few rounds of play. You can see Liquid's coach definitely going to be handing out some very much needed words as well, and hopefully they're able to catch up on some of those things and hand that insight over to a call for those immediate adjustments. Either way, things are looking great for whoever's on the attacking side, and that's good news for the Liquid fans.
Absolutely the case is that man right there, Nesk, the man of the hour, you could say, as he's the top-rated player at this LAN currently. And time again, when we see Liquid show up, it just happens to be his name and Palu at the top of the leaderboard. But that doesn't mean that we can't see some action from the remaining members of this squad. As for FaZe, they've been silent inside these last 2 rounds, which definitely is not looking like what they were able to achieve on offense, especially for Cyber's sake, who was doing so much heavy lifting initially, but has gone pretty quiet inside of these last couple of rounds. Speaking of Cyber, he's going to be the one to 6-pick inside of this space. He's going to get rid of the Mira, bring in Mozzie. We're also going to see a 6-pick onto a Maverick, which is an op that we really don't see played on Coastline.
Yeah, I think that might have been a little bit of a bait to make them think they were going like Penthouse or something like that with the showing of the Mira. And that could have actually worked to get Ask back in play there too. So Ask really only going to be able to use the Maverick to get access to like the circle couch room right here. And aside from that, not a whole lot in terms of where that torch is potentially going to be useful for the squad here. So we'll have to wait and see if maybe he can find another use for it. But either way, I mean, worst case worst, he just got a good primary and can be a bit of a fragger in this round. He's already served himself to be currently tied for first next to Resets in terms of contributions for his teams there on frags.
I swear if we see him rappel down square and torch that wall, I'm going to lose my mind. But I highly doubt that we see that.
The problem is you're just asking to get pegged from one of the side halls if you do that. Like,
absolutely, my friend. But don't put it past Golds. They love to do some trolly things sometimes. I would highly recommend not to, but you never know. For Liquid, I highly doubt that we see that. It'll more than likely to just be used on the VIP wall because they don't have access to Thatcher, and they are more than likely going to want to take control of this space just because of the picks that they did end up going with. But that's to, well, see a little bit later on. We're about to discover it as we're about 30 seconds in here.
So let's get into it and see if Liquid can continue their triumphant run so far here on the attacking side after a bit of a bump in the road there for the second group of rounds inside of the first half. Picking up the first 2, dropping the next consecutive 4, left FaZe in control up until this point where Liquid obviously responded with 2 of their own. Bit of a tense opener here as well for Bullet. He's got a massive cross going all the way over towards the sunrise angle there, looking to punish any more early adventures from Team Liquid to take that first floor control before they look to start transitioning up and putting pressure on the hookah billiards rooms here. Paula will take up a position that will probably see him stay in for quite some time, if not the large majority of the rest of the round here, as he's going to try to harass anyone near the inside of hookah from that repelled window. Obviously, you have to be careful. You can see Souls getting that Nitro cell primed and ready to go. Resets the meanwhile, finding some luck with his nades from down below, able to take out Cameraman here. So where's the response from FaZe? The Nitro right on point, but again, also dodged mainly by Palu there as he only loses half of his HP from it. And on top of that, Ask going to be able to find a second kill against FaZe with the elimination of Astro.
Smokes out. Cyber a little worried about his positioning at the moment. He's going to blow the Nitro and give himself an exit option if necessary, but oh no, the air jab's going to get him. Oh, so unfortunate. He didn't hear it go down. He's going to get blasted against the wall and then blasted with the ARX as well, but not before Souls can do something about it. He'll take down PSK down low. Could have possibly have stopped a lot of what FaZe could have done with the remainder of this round, but the plant's already going down from Ask. Bullet at a nice angle, not able to land his shots. That's going to be the plant, and Liquid looking to take this round as well.
Yeah, FaZe completely losing 2F controls. They have no one even on the same floor to be able to contest that one. Another air jab getting triggered. That's 3 for 3 actually, I think, on this round. So good stuff from PSK. All 3 of those air jabs are successfully triggered over some course of the round. Very rarely do you see that happen. Souls here trying to fight it out, but he's very quickly going to lose his life due to the low HP he sustained from a previous engagement. And now Bullet left alone, stuck at the bottom of Cool Vibes. Oh man, the timing as well, just not playing out well for him here as Ness swings him, and he looks the other way, obliging and allowing for Nest to get a quick cleanup.
Very well done from Liquid here. Is this Coastline pick seemingly starting to work out? Obviously, it looked a little risky when they were on the defensive side, but when does Coastline not? I mean, let's be honest. It's just one of those maps that really trends to the offensive side. It does tend to be up to the teams that are playing it, but most of the time we see the offense take control when it matters most. And this is going to be no different. Now for FaZe, they really need to find something here because Liquid are on the cusp of match point in the moment as they're looking for their 6th round. Penthouse Theater going to be the next site for FaZe. No 6 picks coming in from them, but Ask will be switching back over to the Maverick, more than likely because of them playing this space. He knows eventually they have to go here. That torch is going to be extremely vital to getting into VIP for them if they so choose to try an entry from that point.
So let's see here, as interestingly enough, FaZe are now going to move themselves over into the penthouse, and this time we won't even see the mirror pick get utilized here either. Not that, again, you really necessarily need it, considering there's a new school of thought when it comes to how teams like to hold on to this site specifically, but it certainly helps, considering that she was not thrown into the ban pool. Might have been a nice addition. However, FaZe choosing to not utilize it in this specific scenario here, and actually having a fairly aggressive Hall of Fame setup to play for as well. Away from that, things are pretty much as you'd expect here for the upstairs penthouse hold. Goyo shields to delay. Going to be seeing those shields placed again close to the doorways to bait out some extra time from Team Liquid's attack, and more aggressive picks as well, notably the alibi there for Cyber, allow them to get a bit more aggressive with that storm.
Not going to see the Mira here for FaZe to rock inside of 90. Instead, it'll be the Goyo shield to hold on to that space for some time, as well as an ADS to be able to prevent anything from coming in onto it initially. Also have some cheeky angles around the space as well to manage, so pretty interesting setup here for FaZe that Liquid are going to have to try and deal with. They're immediately going to propel themselves to the roof, and wouldn't you know it, the Maverick coming in on the VIP balcony, just like we were talking about before. We expect this to be used on that VIP wall when the time comes.
So away from that, we can see Liquid starting to set up some early advantages for themselves. Once again, Nesk using, well, for a moment, that Twitch drone there to be able to knock out at least one magnet, but it's very quickly found out, it looks like by Cyber and dispatched of. Should be a second one still sitting in the pocket of Nest to potentially be able to use, and it looks like indeed that second one's still alive and well. They're going to sneak it back in, take out, looks like another piece of the puzzle of FaZe's utility on their defensive side here. And at the same time, you've got work being done here now by the Maverick, currently being played by Ask, to open up access to VIP and allow the team to work their way in.
Well, everybody into VIP balcony now as Cyber will actually strike first onto PSK. He's all the way outside the building. We are outside, folks, and Liquid not going to have a chance to be able to refrag this. Pretty cheeky there from Cyber. A perfect opportunity for him to be able to grab PSK before Liquid can rebound.
The air jab's being found out once again as he works his way back in, but no one from Liquid either in the area or even really interested in trying to follow that one up once the noise is called out. So he's allowed to get away with that one, and that's just a free run out for FaZe that works out perfectly for them. This is the type of attitude that we really haven't been seeing come into effect for them up until this point. So hopefully the start of a turnaround that allows them to not only come out on top of this round, but potentially equalize the scoreline as well. Things continue to go well. A minute remaining here, and Liquid have barely found any map control themselves to play off of. They're going to need to look for it soon, but Souls doesn't want to hand it over. He finds another pick, this time against Ask, and Liquid's roster continuing to look weaker and weaker as the time continues to shrink also.
Palu with a nice shot onto Cameraman will finally start Liquid off on their warpath, but there's still a lot to do. So many angles for FaZe to adopt, but as soon as they do, Astro will lose his life. Still have Souls all the way back inside of Theater for the moment. Cyber also trying to move his way into VIP. He knows one player's manning bookshelf for the time being. That's going to be Nesk here with the F2, as Souls is going to take a lot of heat from that Goyo shield blowing up.
Cyber waiting for the cross to come his way, and he's just gifted the pick as well here. Nesk seemingly believing that his opponent had fallen back. Not the case here. Not even a real need to get Nesk back up. Time is too low. He needs to focus on the next fight and doing as much damage to Palu as possible. Picks it up here, but at the same time, Souls is down. It all falls to Bullet. Bullet drops the case, though, and there's massive pings coming in, so he has no problem dodging out the last few seconds. And finally, picking up a defensive round for FaZe Clan.
Extremely unfortunate there for Liquid as they start to get the picks, but just a little bit too late. Especially with the FaZe members able to occupy 90 as well as VIP hallway for so unbelievably long. There was a lot still left on the board for them to play with and just too little for Liquid to be able to get anything done. So unfortunate enough for Liquid, but a positive for FaZe when it comes down to it. We're getting into round 11 now after FaZe finally rebound after starting this half off at a 4-2 lead.
Not only is it a positive for FaZe, it's a positive for you guys at home. It's just looking like this match might go the full distance here, and even this map might make it all the way as well here. Overtime certainly in the cards if we go into a teeter-totter here now. FaZe just need one more to guarantee overtime, and they could very well take control of this map outright here with 2 going into their pocket as they make a return to a site they've already played into. Once again, though, the glaring issue being the off-site presence and its inability to properly fend off the initial execute, on top of the fact that, again, that lone in-site defender almost always played by the smoke, so expected to be cameraman in this specific circumstance, just not being able to contend against a big 3, if not 4, player push.
Once again, the destruction coming in a bountiful load for FaZe as they'll destroy every wall around this area. Whoever owns this building has got to be extremely pissed, let me tell you, because there is so much destruction on these walls. I'm sure Airbnb will be contacting them soon enough. In the way, we got some laser gates also to tag up the doors, as well as some reinforcements going on upstairs. It looks like they're really prioritizing this roam game yet again here. We saw Liquid obviously be able to dismantle this the last time around, just like FaZe did on their offensive side. So now for Liquid, this is more than likely going to be more of the same. But obviously FaZe knows what's coming, so we really need to be seeing the audible called on this defensive side.
Let's see if it will happen for FaZe and how they're going to look to once again leverage an early advantage against the advances of Team Liquid. Cyber punching open access to the hatch drop from down below. Things get a bit too hairy here on the inside of the penthouse hold as he's gone for a direct middle of the room play also. Meaning he is in a very, very exposed position. He needs to be able to turn tail and get the heck out of here if things go wrong. And if he gets pressured by more than one player. It's going to be relatively quiet, though, to start things out here inside of that first minute. No one from Liquid trying to move in against him to go for the clear, so he'll be safe to back away and now maintain a position over at the top of main stairs, supporting Souls' position slightly from down below in lobby behind the check-in desk.
Cyber, as of right now, playing top white. PSK will pop the window open. Likely not knowing that this player is inside of this space. Hopefully he doesn't put his face too deep into the window, as Cyber could end up catching a body here. Just a split second. He's going to hop out and waiting on the time, but that's the beauty, or rather lack thereof, of the rifle. It does a lot of damage when you land your shots, but that low rate of fire makes it difficult in certain situations, and that just happens to be one.
Yeah, that Mark 14, not really purpose-built for runouts, let alone such an awkward angle that he had to play into there, so it does not pan out, and PSK barely survives it there. 1 or 2 missed shots, and he might have given Cyber the room he needed to be able to clutch that one out here. Not going to happen this time around here. Liquid takes the edge yet again, goes up 5v4 here in the first 2 minutes of play. Away from that, though, as you can see, still a lot of makeup now to be done here from Liquid in terms of their clearance and just preparation for the descent down onto the first floor, whether they're going to pressure in from Service or another method. It's looking like Service might be in the cards here as Ask gets himself yet another pick here, this time against Astro, trying to work himself back into kitchen to support Cameraman's position. Cameraman going to try to peek out towards the window here, looking for options, but not going to find many of them as Liquid are inching closer and closer towards their push.
38 seconds remaining for Liquid to get into the site, but still have Cameraman to worry about, manning so much space in the current moment. Finds a pretty cheeky spot to be playing around the kitchen window that'll prevent him from being blown up from resets, who's having a heck of a game in the current moment. 10-4-1. Asked starting to move in as well and begin looking for this plant location. It'll be the last smoke being burned from Cameraman here, going into the last moments as they begin to collapse onto the site. A nice shot from Palu will take down Cameraman. He's got the crosshair lobby as well, where the last 2 remaining members are. They're simply seeing if they can prevent the plant, but Ask will take one down as he crosses. The plant will start at 0-0, and Souls will have to look deep into this one to see if he can find anyone, or at least the body of the planter. He will not be able to. It's a safe spot for Ask as Liquid get yet another round.
Bit risky for Liquid there, considering they had to go for a 0 timer, a few lucky shots, especially if the plant position wasn't great. Might have allowed that round to go in the other direction, but it does not end up going that way. Liquid have full surrounding positionings against that last member of FaZe and are not going to give them the capability to clutch that one out. 6-5 here. It's going to be Liquid to race up to the penultimate point first here, and with one more round, they can control this map. However, they've only got one chance to do it. FaZe, any sort of response from them will immediately throw us into overtime and ignite those 3 additional rounds here. Looks like the final battleground, for regulation at least, will be upstairs inside of Hookah Billiards as FaZe look to repeat their earlier success and see if they can make that OT happen.
All right, well, for Cyber's sake, he's switching off of the Mozzie and over to the Vigil Liquid, not choosing to opt for Osa, which we did see on the offensive side for FaZe when it came to this site. But big thing is that FaZe has quite a few different options in their site selection, so it's really not guaranteed. Liquid aren't really willing to risk it, so they're just simply not going to. We'll stick with the lineup that's been getting them all of these rounds so far, and that should suffice. As of right now, FaZe beginning their site setup when it comes to the Hookah Billiards defense. We're not seeing anything too crazy or out of the ordinary. The big thing is here is Cyber needs to do some heavy lifting when it comes to this Vigil play. He's been pretty quiet since the offensive side. It just seems like defense hasn't been his forte.
Let's see if maybe they can prep themselves up and get into position to out on top a bit more prominently for this final round. It's do or die time for the FaZe roster. Bullet will be positioned downstairs, and it's going to be looking to try and waste away a bit of time from Liquid if they try to go in for their sunrise clear. But Liquid not going to be clearing out anything too early on here. Still need to go for that kind of auxiliary drone phase inside of this first minute of our overall 3 minutes of play and get a better sense of what FaZe are trying to do outside of the site before they even think about moving to the inside.
As they begin to gather this information, they'll be looking towards this top area. You can see them droning out the theater space to see if the northeast side has some vacancy for some Liquid members, and clearly it does. There's so many FaZe bodies downstairs instead, but that's to be expected simply because of the site selection as of right now, or rather where they could possibly entry from. We've seen quite a few members on the offensive side come in through kitchen and things like that, and it seems like they're worried about that possibly happening. They damn well should be, because that's exactly where Ask is entering from. But they've already gotten the entry frag as well onto Astro.
Bullet trying to be very careful with this sunrise play. Not careful enough, apparently, as Nesk just takes his head right off as soon as he pops out from his position over by the couches. Souls will be there for an additional exchange that at least stops from going completely out of control here, putting it down to a 4v3, but important to note their case getting dropped, I believe, by Palu to try and once again put the team in a palatable position in the event that he goes down, trying to make that push forward. Cameraman going to be able to take out resets there, I believe on a hop out, but very easily gets traded out by Nesk. And that's going to reduce the numbers from FaZe even further here now. It just goes another 1-for-1 down and turns this 4v3 into a 3v2, leaving only Cyber and Souls, who have both taken at least 1 to 2 bullets of damage. In a bit of a delicate spot here also. Yeah,
unfortunately, FaZe failing math class inside of that one, but Souls doesn't seemingly care about that. He'll be able to get one, almost has the second, but unfortunately enough for him, the SMG-11 not having enough bullets to be able to contest how he wants to for that second frag. Now it's all down to Cyber to have to prevent this. Luckily enough for him, Liquid still have to plant the diffuser, so he's going to have an opportunity in a certain sense to be able to take an isolated 1-versus-1. He's immediately going to sprint on over to White, climb up the stairwells. It's a race against PSK, who's currently wrapping the building right now with Nesk in tandem. As they're coming up the hookah stairs, he will enter VIP hallway, and this is where we're going to have our duel of fates.
Cyber creeping his way forward here, trying to avoid any additional drone intel if there was any presets here. He's got the lineup for both of them as well. Just going to chuck the Pokeball out, see if he can make anything work for him. And oh, the headshot against PSK, but the immediate response from Nesk. Once again, the big clutch coming in from the big player on Liquid. They get it done and shut down map number 1 with a final score of 7-5.
I mean, who else would be able to shut it down inside of that situation? Nesk, yet again, proving his worth to this Liquid roster as they'll pull it out 7-5 here on Coastline. Cyber almost getting away with that round as well. The timing was impeccable from him, but simply couldn't get it done at the end of the day.
So some great stuff from Team Liquid. It's a fairly close affair. Liquid nearly losing the plot towards that later portion of the first half, but they're able to rebound quite nicely on their attacking side and take full control, allowing them to surge forward towards the end of it and take final control in our final round of regulation. It's a close one, but that's what we expected to get out of this series in the LATAM Derby, with both of these teams knowing each other so well. As the Death said, it was oftentimes going to come down to the individual plays, and that's exactly what we get. What you guys are going to get in a few minutes is map number 2 of this amazing series. Stick with us, and we'll be back in just a few minutes for the return of these two teams.